Farmer's Kitchen on Dubai Eye 103.8.
Tomorrow is World Water Day, a moment to reflect, if you will, on how we use, conserve and source one of our most precious resources. Here's a stat to think about. The UAE has got the highest per capita water consumption in the world. So we are really up there, 550 litres per person per day. We know how essential water is, but we often don't think about where it comes from or our own personal responsibility. Our guest today is Loki, student at Arbor School, who is tackling a surprisingly overlooked issue as part of a project, the environmental impact of imported bottled water in the UAE. And instead of just focusing on recycling or pollution, looking at consumer choices, restaurant policies, and some of the hidden costs as well, financial and environmental, of flying in water from across the world when we have perfectly good local alternatives. Does this put a bee in your bonnet? Let me know on 4001. Also in studio, we've got assistant head teacher Hannah Mains. Loki, tell us a little bit about why you wanted to focus on water as part of your project.
Well, we were doing a lot of research because we didn't necessarily know how to kick off our topic for our Global Perspectives coursework. What we ended up finding, we were talking to Miss Hannah a lot, and we found that most of restaurants in Dubai, especially like the mid to high end restaurants, they sell only imported water or they have a blend, but there's not much local water. And we found that the imported water that they do sell is quite expensive.
Really expensive.
So we thought that we could get together, get the stats, and find a way to make it so that restaurants would choose to do local water as opposed to imported water, and so that the consumers knew where they were conscious about what they chose and where that water came from.
And it has to be a compelling argument from the restaurant's point of view. You know, many of us don't think about this, but you know, you have done the research there. When we think about the environmental cost of flying in water from, and I'm not going to name specific brands, but let's just say France or Italy or Norway or Fiji, for example. And when you start kind of crunching the numbers and looking at what impact it has, Loki, were any surprising findings?
Yeah, so the UAE consumes 4 billion plastic bottles per year, which is both local and imported. The majority of it is bottled and sold in the UAE, but a lot of it does come from France, Norway, Italy, like you said. And those European suppliers, the water miles that it takes, so it's very similar to food miles. It's the distance that it travels via air, trucking, or by sea. It's around 2,380 miles, which is very energy intensive, and it produces a lot of carbon.
I just want the choice. I want to be able to go into a restaurant and then, I've got an under sink filter at my house. Like, I don't have bottled water in the house. That's like our family, and I'm not going to lie, it's not always for environmental. It's I'm having to think about buying bottled water all the time and having to carry it in. But you know, restaurants do. It's a choice that you can make to say we're going to put a filter in the back and we're going to have free filtered water, or we're going to, as you say, you know, get water from the UAE. But I think a lot of restaurants think of it as being this like premium aspirational thing, whereas I'm like, I just feel like I'm being ripped off the whole time, to be completely honest. You know, so what would you like to see change, or what do you think we need more of, Loki?
I do think that to jump straight to no bottled water and it's free tap water, that's a big jump, especially for restaurants trying to make a profit. So a good way to step into that is to shift from imported to local, because the imported water is seen as a luxury water, and it's almost like you said, you don't really get the choice and they're just giving you the luxury. Or another part of our project was we were thinking of partnering with a local water brand to give them like a luxury bottle.
That's an interesting idea, kind of like a brand reposition.
Yeah.
Interesting. And what about the raising awareness piece? When we think of this as part of your coursework, it is a real world campaign. You know, obviously you're here today spreading awareness, but how else are we encouraging people to make some better choices?
Well, there's obviously around Dubai, there's the Dubai Can initiative, and there's 50 stations around Dubai, and that's very good. What would be good to help push it more is, in my opinion, it could possibly go into malls, and then we could make carrying around sustainable, reusable bottles a norm.
Love it. I might just say, I'm a bit of a water nerd. My dad worked in bottled water when I was growing up, and I know it's a long story, but we had like a whole water bottle collection in our house, and when we went on holiday, we'd bring one back for my dad. It's a whole nerdery in our family. Dubai canned water, delicious. It's really, really good. It's always super cold. So we want more Dubai can. And, they are all over. I was at City Walk the other day. There was, one there, down on the beach track. But, as you say, be good to get into more commercial centres as well.
Yeah.
Hannah's in the studio, assistant head teacher. And I'm wondering how this project ties into kind of the larger mission, really, of Arbor in terms of the curriculum and the things that you're going the extra mile on.
Yeah, that's such a great, interesting question, actually. So Arbor School, our main mission is environmental justice. And a whole part of that is making sure that we help our students understand the connection between social, environmental and economic, because the three pieces of sustainability are linked together, that we can't separate them. So when we're looking at issues like water equity, water is an essential component of life, and it does connect to the environment for sure. Mm-hmm. The students have been looking into desalination, which we know is a hugely intensive process, but we also have groundwater here in like Masafi, up in Ras Al Khaimah. So there are different ways to do it, as well as you mentioned yourself that we have like the filters. So what we try and do is we help our students to understand using innovation and creativity to solve problems. And so by Loki coming up with this idea and, reaching out to you, I think it's a really amazing thing to help people understand. It's things that we do every day. We just don't realise we're doing it.
And I think, in honesty, it's very easy to feel kind of paralysed or disempowered by things like climate change or some of the problems that are very real that we're facing. But what you're looking at is actually, where are the opportunities? Where are the business opportunities? Where are the innovation opportunities? Because, Loki, you're 15 now, right?
Yeah.
And I know Arbor's obviously massively informing some of your choices when it comes to the subjects and where you might be going. And I really hope that a lot of students are understanding that, if you're studying law, look at environmental law. If you're going to be, because this is where we really need some great brains and manpower in the years to come. What else have your fellow students been doing then, Hannah? What other projects have you seen relating to the environment on this?
So many amazing projects. So we have one group of students who are looking at the food court waste, looking at changing policy and using reusable like crockery, cutlery, things like that. We have one student group who are working on seatbelt awareness, helping students, young people understand.
Another one of my pet peeves. Yeah.
Indeed. And we have a set of students who are looking at some issues surrounding teenagers choosing to vape.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're not ones to shy away from the big topics at Arbor, are you?
We do not. And that's the thing. We're really passionate about helping students choose things that they really care about and empowering them with skills.
So, Loki, what's this going to look like then? We think about part of your GCSE coursework. Is it going to be a presentation that you're doing? Is there going to be any kind of product or tech or any development that you're working on? And I guess, how on earth do you grade such, great work? I'll come to that in a minute, Hannah.
So, one of the things that we see in our coursework, we have to do an issue, our aim, and then the metric that we use to see how successful it is. So the issue was obviously the local versus imported water. And for our aim, we had sort of three main categories. There was this was a big thing. We wanted to push it to consumers. There was also pushing to the actual restaurant owners. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there could be some listening, but the main thing we want to do is the rest of my group is also working on infographics. One for restaurants with an executive summary saying why it is, facts about what is important and why we want to do this and how we want to do this. And one of the houses, we're also doing an infographic for a water brand, and we want to reach out to them with a fancier, more luxury bottle to push and try and get them to put it, because they are local and they use groundwater, but they don't really have a fancy. They're more plastic based, so we want to try and push them to glass.
I like it. And listen, Voss will have a very special place in my heart. It's where my parents met. I have been there numerous times. I just don't want to drink the water from there anymore. Loki, thank you so much. Massively appreciate it. And Hannah, it sounds like incredible work going on there. I'm feeling a bit safer in the hands of the future generations.
You're in amazing hands with these guys.
Thank you so much, Loki. And as I said, Hannah Mains, assistant head teacher, both joining us from Arbor School. And you're on break now, guys.
Yay.
Have a brilliant holiday. We're picking a winner for the Usher competition on the other side of this.
Weather check.
With Air Arabia, explore Yerevan, Nairobi, Vienna, Colombo, Bangkok, Phuket, and many